The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media.
Welcome to The Winning Edge, the podcast where champions are built and legacies are made. I'm Leonard Wheeler, former NFL player turned entrepreneur of 24 years and co-executive director of the NFL Legends community. After years of being on the field, I've learned that the real game starts when the stadium lights go out. This show is your all-access pass to the mindset, strategies, and leadership lessons that fuel success beyond sports. Each week, we will dive into what it truly takes to win in business, leadership, and life. We'll discuss how elite athletes, game-changing entrepreneurs, and industry leaders turn discipline into dominance and setbacks into comebacks. The next play is yours. All right, family, welcome back to The Winning Edge. My name is Leonard Wheeler, and guess what? The 2025 NFL season is here. Every weekend, millions will tune in to watch the highlights, the touchdowns, the celebrations, the game winners. But let me ask you a question. What about the parts you don't see? What about the early mornings, the ice baths, the third string player who's grinding in practice to make the starter sharper, the sacrifices no one cheers for? Today's episode is called The Unseen Grind. The unseen grind, the grind that you can't see. And by the time we're done, I want you to walk away with this. What you don't see is often more important than what you do see. So I want you to say this with me. What you don't see, come on, say it with me. What you don't see makes what you do see possible. Say it one more time. What you don't see makes what you do see what? Possible. Okay, we're going to talk about some different groups today because I believe that there are two types of groups that are actually listening today. First, we're going to talk about the coasters. Those coasters, coasters, coasters. You love the fruit, but you don't love to sow the seed. Now, even sometimes coasters are in a coasting place because they become complacent. Maybe you have that grind in you at some point, but you've now chosen to be a coaster. You want the prize, but you skip the practice. You want the promotion, but you show up late to work. You want the respect, but you turn into projects late. Let me say it plain. You can't expect championship outcomes with recreational effort. Okay? So no grind, no glory. Not to the level that you think you deserve it. Then there's the other group, the grinders. You're putting in the hours, the sweat, the sacrifice. But here's the blind spot, grinders. Sometimes you think you're the only one that's grinding. Sometimes you tune out the sacrifices of others around you because you believe that you are working harder, faster, smarter than everyone else around you. So today's challenge is for both groups. I believe this is that we all see things through a different lens, okay? And what we want to talk about is that how do we learn to respect the different levels of grinding? But first, it's going to be important for you to respect your own grind. And then you will respect the grind of others, okay? So you're not the only one grinding. There are people grinding, and they just might grind differently than you do. So in the NFL, everybody celebrates the touchdown. Like I said, the touchdowns, but they don't just happen. Here's a slate for you. An average NFL play lasts between 4 to 6 seconds, sometimes 7 seconds. But behind the play are dozens of hours of preparation every week. We have weightlifting, we have film study, we have practice reps. The receiver makes a catch, but the O-line fought in the trenches for 3 to 6 seconds so that the play could even exist. So here's the play that everybody can see, but the unseen grind sometimes is happening in the route running, right? Sometimes it's happening in the blocking from the running back. Sometimes it's happening from the O-line. Sometimes the quarterback is having to scramble. We're seeing so many things, but sometimes we get so caught on seeing the end that we forget about the grind. What about the practice squad guy who took hundreds of scout team reps during the week so that the starter could be sharp? What about the trainer who taped the ankle so that the player could even get on the field? And then think about what that trainer went through in order for him to be prepared for that particular day. You don't see them, but their grind makes the highlight possible. And in life, it's the same. You see the graduate from high school or college, but not the parent who worked 1, 2, 3 jobs sometimes to make it possible, or studied with them or helped them write papers. We celebrate the end, but we don't celebrate the grind. You see the CEO, but not the assistant who stayed late, even later than the CEO, to make sure that his presentation was up to date and updated and ready for Teams, or ready to be seen through Google, ready, presentable for the other people to win, especially him. We don't see that assistant, but we see the CEO. We don't see the grind. You see the trophy, but not the hours of practice nobody clapped for. One of the things that we say in the locker room, respect the trenches. Because I believe this, in the grind, we are all in the trenches. We're all in the trenches together. And sometimes it's hard for us to see that other people are in the trenches with us. So let's talk about, one of the stories I love in the Bible, where it talks about David. And it talks about David and Goliath. We've all heard that story, and how David ran towards Goliath and with this sling, and he threw the sling in it. But no one saw the grind. No one saw the grind of David tending the sheep. No one saw David being overlooked by his brothers. No one, even his dad, no one saw the unseen grind of him sharpening his sling. No one saw the grind of him worshiping in obscurity. That prepared him for the fight with Goliath. And you can find that in 1 Samuel 1, 16 through 17. But what about even Jesus himself, how he humbled himself as a servant to wash the feet of his disciples? That's showing through true greatness, right? In the midst of the grind. How many feet have you washed? Not your baby feet, but could you walk into your office and humble yourself to wash the feet of your people that you believe are underneath you? Can you humble yourself in the midst of the grind? And can you humble yourself in the midst and become a servant? I believe this. The hidden builds the honored. So the hidden builds the honored. What's hidden builds what's being honored. That's how I look at it. So let's have a teaching moment. I believe that we should respect every role. Not everyone grind looks the same. I talked about it a second ago. But every grind matters. Did you know this? This is an NFL stat for you. The average offensive lineman runs over 5,000 yards in practice every week. Listen to me. The average offensive lineman runs over 5,000 yards in practice every week. And most fans never even know their name. The QB can't shine if the snapper doesn't deliver. Now, the center is what I call the snapper, because some people say who's snapping the ball? It's the center. If the center doesn't deliver the ball, then the quarterback can't do his job. Your life is the same. Teachers, nurses, caregivers, parents, the world runs on the unseen grind. Hear me. Every role matters. What about the defensive players? The defensive back sometimes can't get the interception without the defensive lineman or the linebackers. So what I'm saying to you is this. Even if you're a policeman, if you are a businessman, if you're a business owner, is that I don't believe that we are self-made people. I don't believe it. Like I just don't agree with that statement, because I believe that everyone has a role and they've played their role to help us to become successful. Even if it's our parents, I remember my dad carrying me to practice. My first practice at 6 years old, I was crying and he said, "You're going to play football." I remember my mom telling me, "Don't you come into this house with a tattoo or earring in your ear, because I want you to honor my boundaries. Own your part of the grind." Now let me talk to the coasters. You can't reap what you don't sow. No, you know what? I'll take that back. You can reap what you sow. If you sow doing nothing, you're going to reap nothing. And sometimes the nothing turns into something because it affects other people, because you're choosing to do nothing but coast. I'm just saying. Galatians 6:7 says it plain. A man reap what he sows. Because if you don't have any seed, you can't have a harvest. So whatever we plant creates a harvest. You plant something in the ground, it creates a harvest. Honor the grind of others. And so to my grinders, don't think you're the only one. Open your eyes. Your spouse, your friend, your parent, your teammate, they're grinding too. Gratitude expands your vision. So here's my challenge. When you see a touchdown this NFL season, stop and ask, who made this moment possible? And just see them. And in your own life, who's grinding in silence so you can shine? Call them, thank them, honor them. Tell them that I've seen the work you've been putting in, and I just want you to know that I appreciate what you do. And if you're not grinding, no more excuses. The unseen grind always comes before the visible glory. Stay with me one last time. The unseen grind builds the winning edge. Listen to that. The unseen grind, the hours you put in. Stop complaining about getting up early. Stop complaining about going to bed late. If you want to go to bed late, then you're going to go to bed late. If you want to go to bed early, you're going to go to bed early. If you want to wake up early, wake up early. I just believe that we have to stop looking to be rewarded for every grind. You're not going to be rewarded for every grind. That's not fair for you to look for someone to give you a prize for grinding all the time. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. First of all, I love talking about how do we create a winning edge. I believe that the unseen grind is a great way for us to have great discussion at our jobs, at home. You remember, what you don't see matters. Like, it does. What you don't see, it does matter. What you don't clap for sustains you. It does. Like, what you're not clapping for today could be what's building you up for tomorrow. And so what we have to make sure that we're doing is that we're honoring the things that we're choosing not to see. Okay? And then what you don't honor, sometimes it can weaken you. It can. So this week, I want you to embrace your grind. I want you to respect the grind of others, and never forget the hidden builds the honored. What's hidden builds what's being honored up there. So when I think about the great players, I played in NFL for 8 years, and I think about the great players that played before me. They are the reason that I'm able to be honored when I'm putting in the work. When I think about my mom, my dad that supported me in college, in high school, in middle school, I'm being honored because of the grind. When I think about all the people that's helped me grind, that's fed me, for me to be lifted up, I need to thank those people. And if I haven't thanked you before, thank you for helping me grind. Thank you for being in my corner that is allowing me to be honored because of your hard work. I appreciate you. It is something that I don't want to take for granted. And when I think about my Heavenly Father, who's given me this ability to grind, Father, thank you for believing in me and for giving me the ability to grind. It is my hope and my prayer that I don't take God's gifts for granted. So I want to thank all of you that have sown a seed for me to reap a harvest. And I give all the glory to my Father in heaven. So keep grinding, keep honoring, and let's keep winning. Let's go!
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of The Winning Edge. You can write in and ask your questions on my Instagram page at Leonard Wheeler 7, and I will address your questions on an upcoming episode. If this episode helped you, I would love for you to share it with your friends, colleagues, and family. Share the episode with those that you feel can benefit from it. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, X, and LinkedIn, found in the show notes. I would greatly appreciate it if you would rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe now and let's build your legacy.